Welcome to the online version of Reading Strategies That Work by the Academic Achievement Center. For more information, you can visit us on the fifth floor of Cook Library in room 524. You can also contact us via email at achieve@towson.edu or call us at 410-704-2291. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at AAC Towson and like us on Facebook. Let's get started. In this video, you will discover why reading strategies are important, how to decode information, and just some general tips and hints for reading. How often do you find yourself feeling like this after reading a textbook? You may think to yourself, I don't understand what I just read, or I can't remember, or even the chapter is so boring. Understanding how to decode your reading and how to implement different reading strategies will help you with not feeling this way. But why? Why are reading strategies so important? Just like Dr. Seuss states, the more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Reading strategies not only give you more options, but it also helps with studying, comprehension, and even helps to improve your reading ability. Let's read the information. Take a minute now to pause the presentation to read the information in its entirety. Once you've finished, press play again to continue. So how did you do? What things did you use to decode the passage? How did you determine the passages were describing taking care of baby goats as opposed to human babies? Believe it or not, you used a reading strategy called decoding. Basically, you read the information closely to determine the subject and picked out the important information. So, what do good readers do? Good readers utilize the decoding system along with many other techniques to help them understand the information they are trying to obtain. Good readers monitor their understanding as they read. They are able to recognize when things begin to not make sense and find ways to help them understand the material. This might be looking up words they don't understand or breaking down the information. Good readers also activate background knowledge and make connections between new and old information. Good readers self-question, clarify uncertainty, and deepen their understanding. Draw inferences from the text based on the background knowledge or information provided. Good readers determine the importance in text to separate details from main ideas. And they also use sensory images to enhance comprehension and visualize what they are reading. What exactly influences your reading? Well, think about it like a target. At the center, we have the actual text. This could be any text such as math, science, or history. As we move away from the middle, the type of reader you are, the actual act of reading, and the difficulty of the text come into play. If you are not sure of yourself as a reader, you may find reading difficult. As a result, it might be harder for you to determine the meaning of the material. Finally, the outermost layer of the target is the social cultural aspect and the context. If you were brought up on reading with a lot of books in your home, you may have a better grasp on how to read a different material than someone who has had little to no books. Lastly, if you don't find the subject matter of the material particularly interesting, you may find it more difficult to concentrate or comprehend the material. Let's look at a system, the queuing system. This is utilized in many different strategies at the same time as you are reading the textbook. These strategies include looking for graphics, semantics, syntax, your personal background on the information, and the structure of the text. Let's look into graphics first. Which of these would you rather read when learning the scientific method? The text version, where it explains everything in complete sentences, but there is no visual information to intrigue and/or keep you interested? Or would you rather a graphic showing a flowchart version of the same thing? Graphics play an important role in determining the meaning of text. If you are struggling with a concept, utilize the graphs and charts that surround the information to help figure out the meaning. Let's next look at semantics, which is the meaning of the word. Vocabulary can be difficult, especially since many words have different meanings. Take, for example, Sherlock saw the man using binoculars. This can be interpreted in two ways. First, it could be literally that Sherlock was using the binoculars to see the man. Another way could be that Sherlock saw the man, but the man was the one using the binoculars. If you are unsure of the meaning of the words, it might help to look at the syntax or structure of the sentence. When looking at the structure of the sentence, sometimes it can be confusing. For example, Jessica told Lindsay that she won the contest. Although the meaning seems pretty straightforward, the way the sentence is structured, the reader really isn't sure who actually won the contest. Was Jessica telling Lindsay that she, Jessica, won, or that Lindsay won? What about background? Your own personal background knowledge on the subject can also help you understand material. If you are familiar with what you are reading about, then your understanding of the main idea might come easier than those who are not. Take a minute and pause the presentation. Read the information on the slide, and then when you are ready, hit play. How much of the information did you understand? Were you able to determine that the subject was for dressmaking? Lastly, structure of the text is also important when it comes to understanding material. It is cause and effect, compare and contrast, sequence, problem and solution, descriptive. Does the structure really have an effect on how you read the text? Of course it does. You would read the information differently for each type of structure. Next, let's look at some general hints and tips for reading. First is previewing the text. In this process, you are looking at pictures, text boxes, titles and subtitles, side notes. This information will allow you to determine the main topics and what it is you are going to read about. Next, previewing the text. You are able to determine the length of the chapter or section you are about to read. By chunking the reading, you can split it up into more manageable information for you to read. At the end of the section, you can also ask yourself how much did you remember, or even quiz yourself on the information. Sticky notes are important when it comes to any type of reading. You can utilize sticky notes by noting important information, breaking up sections, or identifying items that you are not sure about. Underlining or highlighting are also important strategies to consider when reading. You can identify important information directly in the textbook while you are reading. This makes it interactive and easy to go back to items you are not sure about or need to find when completing other assignments. Remember though, you should not be underlining or highlighting everything in your textbooks. Cornell Notes is a helpful study strategy when it comes to what you are reading. It's a note-taking strategy to help keep yourself organized, and it also doubles as a self-testing method. Text rendering or annotation is important when it comes to reading. Much like underlining and highlighting, you are able to interact with the text on a personal level. By using a code to simplify the process, the reader is able to make connections, predictions, mark areas that are confusing, or things that they agree or disagree with. Creating questions from titles and subtitles is an easy way to set a purpose for your reading. This way, you should be able to answer the questions by the time you are finished reading. If you are not able to, then go back and reread the information for clarity. Self-testing is important when you are reading. It allows you to review the information on a regular basis. Utilizing questions that you already know in your textbook can be helpful in this process. You can also utilize the questions you created from titles and subtitles as a way to review for tests. The reading cycle is important to remember to keep in mind while you are doing your assignments. This should be something you are doing all the time on a regular basis. First is preparing to read. This might include setting up your notes, previewing the text, then read and absorb the new ideas. This might be listening to a lecture or someone read the information out loud as you follow along or observe a process. While you are observing this new information, you should be taking notes. Using a note-taking method such as Cornell will help you keep yourself organized. Then finally, you should be reviewing and applying the information you have just taken in. The cycle starts all over again. That brings us to the end of our presentation. Thanks for listening. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us through email or call us at 410-407-2291 for more information.